Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about the official CBRS licensing being released. Now we know who won what and how much. I wanted to talk about that and what this really means to Verizon and some of the negative setbacks from this as well. And then also something interesting that I noticed when I was scrolling through the list of the winners. So we now know Verizon spent $1.9 billion on licensing. They did not go nationwide, that was anticipated. They wanted to get the most amount of spectrum that they could within key markets. So some of the markets, and trust me, this was completely strategized. This has been looked over. The numbers have been looked over probably the last 3 years. And the markets that had the biggest slowdown is where they bid the most. So in the key markets like Chicago, Los Angeles, the New York cities, they got between the 30 to 40 megahertz. In fact, I believe somebody told me if once he calculated it in the markets where they did bid, they got an average of 38 megahertz. So they went big in those markets, and the CBRS portion, I believe, does not have an uplink. So the 40 megahertz will allow Verizon to add two channels of 20 megahertz downlink. So it'll be like another LAA carrier, or the kind of like how Sprint did it, where they had three carriers of the band 41. I know the band 41 had uplink on it as well, but they moved most of that uplink towards the downlink with the TDD. So yeah, Verizon will effectively have, either 215 megahertz channels or 220 megahertz channels in a lot of these markets. So they're going to be able to quickly boost their own speeds in these markets where they have significantly slowed down. In my market, for instance, I've been doing a lot of research. Not only did they acquire 40 megahertz of the CBRS, they are also investing in rolling out their own fiber. We became in El Paso part of the One Fiber project. So that's two times the boost. So you're getting the boost from the spectrum, which we were lacking in this market. I would say we don't have Verizon doesn't own any PCS in this market, so this is going to help greatly. And then of course, rolling out their own fiber, that means now we're going to have a higher backhaul compared to what they were getting with the third party. So those are two positives. Some of the negatives to point out: the suburban areas where Verizon has significantly dropped off, they didn't get any CBRS there, so that's a negative. Many people pointed out to me. It seems the CBRS portion will be largely used early on the LTE side. Again, there's going to be a lot of users on LTE for years to come, so they got to make sure that they still have a robust LTE network to handle those customers. And then as we transition into 5G in the future, they will, of course, migrate that spectrum, refarm it for the 5G network. So that's just some of the things that I wanted to point out. We do have a very interesting thing. I don't know if anybody spoke on it. So we currently have, so by the way, T-Mobile purchased very few licenses. They probably, I didn't really check yet, but they probably purchased the licensing where the band 41 spectrum was really fragmented, or where Sprint didn't own any at all. There were some counties where Sprint had no band 41 at all. They didn't own any EBRS, none of it. So that's likely where T-Mobile purchased. But here's something interesting that I spotted. So T-Mobile, as many of you know if you watch my video, is currently in some sort of process of trying to purchase the Chantel. And Chantel bid on the CBRS auction. They actually won 262 licenses. So that is going to kind of be crazy if T-Mobile ends up purchasing Chantel and they gain all of those 262 licenses. So that's just something that I wanted to point out, that could be a possibility that T-Mobile kind of is going to be able to work that in there in the future, that they do get some of the licenses. But it will likely be only the licenses in the areas that Chantel did operate. So it'll likely be the Virginias, the West Virginias, some of the Marylands. but it's still gonna be good. It's still gonna be a good play for T-Mobile if they are able to get a hold of those licenses by purchasing Chantel. So another interesting thing, AT&T, they did participate, but they outbid no one. They did not win any licenses anywhere. Dish got the most licenses nationwide, but they necessarily didn't spend the most because they only got about 10 megahertz nationwide. And then, yeah, AT&T didn't bid any. A lot of people confused about it. They didn't really need it, to be honest with you. Over the last few days, I've been in contact with a source of mine, and the densification project that AT&T is that's ongoing with the already higher spectrum position that they're in now is going to really allow them to strive and push the network even further. Yes, Verizon closed the gap, but they'll be busy in 2021 rolling that CBRS out into the market more heavily. El Paso, for instance, not one tower currently has any CBRS on it, so they'll be busy in 2021 rolling that out, while AT&T will be busy densifying the network with the C-RAN small cells and then more macros that are coming in the future. So let me know what you think about this. Like I said, this was just a brief summary there. I didn't want to get into detail. I'll leave this article in the description down below so you guys can check it out. But yeah, overall, I think the auction went well. I do think Verizon will bring the big money bags to the C-band auction. We're talking anywhere from 15 to 25 billion to get the 100 megahertz licenses, and then we'll go from there. So if you have been on the channel, you can go ahead and end the video now. If you are new to the channel, you look forward to summaries, updates like these. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload the content. If YouTube does not push out the notifications to your liking, make sure to follow my Twitter. I do post the videos on the Twitter as well. Push notifications on both platforms so you do get the videos when they go live. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.